Hello and welcome to the recorded version of the Shops webinar. Now, if you're watching this recording, it is for one of a few possible reasons. Maybe you were able to join the live webinar and there was so much information in it you just had to watch it again. Or maybe you wanted to join, but life got in the way and you weren't able to jump on one of the live ones that we offered up. Or maybe you don't know what shops are, but you've heard all the hype and you want to see what they're all about. Either way, we're happy to have you on this recording and checking out this feature. So we're going to run through a couple of different things today. First, I'm going to run through a bit of an overview about what shops are and why we built them. And then we're going to run through the three different shop types that you can see on my screen right now. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about why you would want to use that shop type or the situation you want to use that in, and then how to actually build it and what the client experience looks like. But first things first, what are shops? Well, that's a great question. Shops are a quick and easy online ordering solution that you can offer up to your client. Now, when I say quick and easy, they're actually so quick that if your client needs a shop, you can have one spun up for them in about 20 minutes. And the reason they're so quick is because they're so easy to build. If you know how to build a presentation inside of commonsku, then you know how to build a shop. So why did commonsku decide to build out the feature shops? Well, we actually have been working on this feature for about a year, and we built this feature out because we wanted to give distributors an online ordering solution option that they could give to their clients that would be low risk or no risk and help them grow their business. Now, when I say low risk or no risk, with the alternative, which would be a company store, sometimes there's some high risk involved with building out a company store. You have to pay setup fees, there may be inventory involved, you might have to train employees on how to use a completely different software, you might have to rekey that into your accounting software and into commonsku, and ultimately you might build out that company store and send it out to the client and they never use it. You've spent all that time and money in setting it up. Or it might not work properly. We found that a lot of company stores end up not working completely as a solution. So while shops are not meant to completely replace the company store model, they're meant to be an option that distributors on commonsku can use to give to their client where a company store would be too expensive or wasn't quite right or was even maybe not even a thought before with that client that you can offer this online ordering solution to them quickly with low risk or no risk. Now, when I say low risk or no risk, I mean that there's no setup fees for any of our shop types. The only fee that is involved with shops on commonsku is a 2.5% processing fee, and that's on any orders that get placed through shops on commonsku. That's it. So if your client never places an order through a shop on commonsku, we will never charge you for any of these. And no setup fees, only on orders that come through the actual shop. So let's get into it and start talking about some of these shop types. Let's talk a little bit about the shop types. So there are three different shop types that we offer. There's company shops, pop-ups, and then also marketing shops. So what we're going to do is we're going to run through each shop type here. We're going to talk about the use case for that shop type, talk about how you can set that up, and then what the client experience looks like and how that ultimately ends up back inside of commonsku. So we're going to first start off with the company shop. Now, to get to the screen that I'm on, you would actually have to go to the admin section inside of commonsku, and you would need to activate the shops feature as a permission. From there, one of your admins needs to go to shops, and they need to click to activate the feature itself. Once you activate the feature, you'll get to this screen where you can then click on the create shop button, which will show you the shop types. So we're going to start off with the company shop. Now, the company shop is a shop that you would build out for a specific client. Every order that comes through this shop will then create a unique sales order inside of commonsku. So it's a one-to-one relationship that this shop is for a specific client, and every order that the client places creates a new sales order inside of commonsku. Now, how this shop can really be used is if you have maybe a really large client that has a bunch of different departments, or if you have a client that has a bunch of different locations, and their head office has pre-approved a whole bunch of products, you can add all those products to the company shop, send that out to all of the different departments, or you can send it out to all the different branches, and then every branch or every department can go in and then place an order off of that shop. And each order, like I said, is going to create a unique sales order inside of commonsku. So in order to create this shop type, all we have to do is tap create shop, type in the name of the shop, and then select the client, and then you'll be able to click create. After tapping the create button, it's going to take you into the shop. And the first place that you're going to land in every shop type is always going to be the settings. Now, the settings are going to vary a little bit depending on each shop type. So with this one, with the company shop, you can see we have a general settings area. This is where you can change the name, select who the rep is. That's going to get notified. That's always the order rep. You can have your shop expire, just like a presentation. You can even password protect any of the shops. Now, the passwords are based on each individual shop, not on logins. So every shop has a password that you can assign to it. And then anyone who wants to enter the shop needs to know that password. Again, the password has to be assigned to the shop. It can't be assigned to each person who's going to log in to use that shop. You can also do things like add in tags. I think tagging is actually really cool. You'll be able to do some cool reporting pieces with this. For example, if you do a bunch of different company shops, you can add the tag company to every company shop that you create, and then you can pull a report to see, how much you invoiced any clients out of company shops. Or if you want to see all the orders that come through shops, or if you have shops listed in certain categories, there's tons of different things that you'll be able to do with this, but it will all pass through to the reporting section and then add these tags automatically to every order that gets placed through the shop. With the company shop specifically, it's the only one that offers a credit card checkout. So when you select credit card checkout, what happens is you do get a pop-up here. And this pop-up is for you to predefine shipping addresses. So what you're doing here is it would list out every address that you have for this client in commonsku. You can then select which addresses you want to make available for this client at checkout. And when you select an address, you then select a corresponding tax rate for that address. And the reason why we do it this way is because if your client's going to pay by credit card, they're ultimately going to need to pay the total value of that order. And instead of commonsku trying to figure out the tax rate for each address, if the client's able to type it in, we have you predefine the address and then select the corresponding tax. So we know that when somebody selects New York, that we need to apply 12% tax. And then when they pay by credit card, they're paying the full value. If you're using Zip2Tax will automatically put these tax rates in for you as well. Okay, so key thing here is that the company shop is the only one that offers credit card checkout, and you do need to predefine the shipping addresses. You also have the option to show a splash screen. The splash screen is basically a pop-up that your client would see as soon as they click into the company shop. It's kind of like a pop-up if you want to give instruction to your client on how to use the shop, if you want to link it to, other pieces of information, really anything that you want to tell your client about the shop before they start going through it, you would put that here in the splash screen. If you don't want to have a splash screen show up, that pop-up show up, you just leave the text blank. Another thing that's unique to the company shop is the shipping range. And what this is a way for you to determine how much you're going to charge in shipping on each order. And how we do that is you putting in ranges of how much the value of the subtotal of an order is. So for example, if an order on this shop is between $0 and $50, we charge $20 shipping. If it's between 50 and 100, it's $50 shipping, so on and so forth. So depending on the subtotal, which is the ranges that you're defining here, you can then put in the corresponding shipping charge. Okay, so you can have it increase with the value of the order increasing, or obviously the shipping charge can maybe decrease with the larger value orders that are coming through. The last thing in settings is just the checkout. The checkout for the company shop, you're able to predefine a billing name and shipping name. So you can have your client actually select from a list of predetermined names for both billing and shipping if you select the first option, and you can select the names that you want to make available by clicking Edit Contact List. It'll then list every contact that you have with this client on commonsku, and you can select the names that are available when checking out. Your other option is that you can give the client the option to type in their own name or select from a drop-down menu. If you do select that option, you can also have commonsku automatically add anybody who types in their name to the client inside of commonsku as well. And you'll notice that every client profile actually has a little shops department in there where those names would go. For your addresses, you can do the same thing. You can allow somebody to select from a predefined list, or they can type in their own address. The only time this isn't available is where we see the shipping address on the right. Okay, if you are offering the credit card integration, then those shipping addresses do have to be predefined. And then finally, you have a text box here to fill out a checkout message when they check out from the shop. Then this is what they would see on that final screen. Now that we've hammered out all of our settings, let's add in some products. So we'll click on products on the left. And if you look at our product list here that I've added in, and if you look at this screen, you're going to say, well, this looks kind of familiar. Remember how I said it's as easy as building a presentation? Well, adding products in is the exact same way that you have added products into all the presentations you've created. So adding products in is as simple as clicking add and then product and then choosing the database that you want to add from. Now, one thing you will notice is that Sage is not on here. You can add products from ESP, custom products, or Distributor Central. Due to our agreement with Sage, the integration is not available. So if you are a Sage user, you would either have to upload custom products, use Distributor Central, or potentially look at using ESP to populate your shops. Once you've added products in, like I mentioned, it's just like a presentation. So you can go in and edit products and change all the pricing to reflect whatever you'd like. Now, when you edit a product, I'll give you a couple of quick tips. When you're editing a product here, first thing is, use some customized photos. Don't always use the stock photos. Get something up there, maybe get some mocks in there, or upload some lifestyle photos. Those always look really good. Make the shop look a little bit nicer if you're not using just kind of stock photos all the time. The other part is adding in artwork. You can add artwork in here just like you can on an estimate, a sales order, or a current presentation. Now, as you know, this artwork doesn't show to the client, so that's why having a mock is kind of nice. But if you add in the artwork here, you can then add in the corresponding run charges, fixed charges, setups, whatever you need to do. But since this is a company shop, you should be able to upload with predetermined artwork in here so it's all set up. That way, when the order is placed, this artwork will pass through onto the sales order. The other thing to note is that the very first column on every product is the minimum. So if the minimum I want to offer for this product is 50, then that's great. I leave the first column at 50. If it's going to be more than that, then I need to increase the first column. Shops will enforce a minimum quantity on every item. So once you go through, you add in your products, maybe you drop in a couple of titles, help build out those different categories. That always makes the shops a little bit look a little bit nicer. From there, you're pretty much ready to go and you're ready to move on to design. All right, so let's do some design. So if we click into the design section, you'll notice that there's a bunch of things that you can customize here. First thing is there's 3 different themes for you to choose from. Right now we're on the billboard theme, which is kind of like a giant graphic cover page. The size of the graphic is in the top left-hand corner that you need to upload, and you can just click change image to do that. You can also change the text here of what your client sees when they first click into the shop, and you can change the shop all button. You can even change what the name of the shop looks like in the top left-hand corner. You also have the ability to change the coloring of all that text using this color option at the top. The other theme options that you have are featured. Featured kind of has a banner across the top and then allows you to feature 4 individual products, whether they're on sale or most popular. However you want to feature these, you can. And then to actually add a product to one of these features, you just click on the different features here. It shows you all the products inside of the shop, and you select which ones you want to show on that kind of feature cover page. The final version is a split version, which is kind of like a giant graphic, again, cover page, just a different style. Okay, and again, you can change the text color and all the exact same stuff here, change text as well. Awesome. So once you kind of choose your theme, choose your color, the other option that you have is how those products look to the client in the shop. And there's 2 different product list styles. There's grid and then tile. The grid style will put all of the images of each product at the same size. So it looks something like this. This is the inside of this shop and what the client would see. You can see all the images are put into the same kind of rectangular square box here. This compares to the other view, which would be called the tile view, where we don't really restrict the photos down to a certain size. So it looks a little bit more like a collage. Okay, so it gives a little bit of a different vibe, and you can kind of pick and choose which style you'd like to show that in. So that's great. We go ahead, we fill out our theme, we fill out our product list style, our color, we edit our text, and from there, the design's actually done. So now your design's done, your products are done, and we did that pretty quick. So all we need to do now is actually get this shop out to the client. And the question is, how do you get the shop out to the client? Well, you can do that by clicking on Actions and then clicking Email Shop. That'll then open up an email window, just like everything else inside of commonsku, and the shop goes out as a link. So you can choose who from this company we would like to send the shop to. You can take that link and send it out to them. Now, a couple of questions I've got. We can't customize the URL. It does have to be this URL, and you can embed it on a website if you use an iframe. Once you've sent the shop out to your client through email, you're good to go and you're ready to start taking in some orders. So let's take a look at what the client experience looks like on a company shop. After your client clicks on the link, that'll open up the shop for them. Let's take a look at what your client will see. Now, this is what this company shop looks like in the client-facing view. So when they first click on that link, they're going to see this page. Now, we don't have a splash page because we didn't put any text in. Your client has a couple of different options of where they can navigate from here. They can obviously click shop at the top or shop all products. If they have questions and they're not sure who to contact, they can click on the question mark, or they can click on contact and it will display the order rep's information as a contact point for this shop. But hopefully your client's going to go into this and just go ahead and place an order. Let's take a look and see what that would look like. Your client clicks shop all products or shop, and it takes them to this view. And if you're looking at this and it looks kind of familiar, you're right. It's a gallery or a smart gallery presentation in that kind of style. Now we have it in the grid view. Obviously, if we did it in the tile, it would look a little bit different, more like that collage. Your client can click through these different categories at the top. And when they want to order something, they just click on it. It shows them a full description, pricing, sizes, colors, everything is in there for them to see. And then if your client wants to order this, all they have to do is tap the add button. And then they fill out sizes, colors, and quantities. Now this item, it only has one color and size, so they would just fill out quantity. If your client tries to put in less than a minimum, shows them the minimum here on the left, but if they do try and put in less than a minimum, then it actually won't let them check out. It'll tell them what the minimum quantity is in red, and then hopefully they'll give in and order those extra 10 ceramic mugs. At this point, your client can either keep shopping or they can check out. Now, for me, I'm good with 50 mugs, so I'm going to check out. I click on that button and it takes me to the checkout screen. Here is where the client can then select either a name for shipping and billing and an address from a drop-down menu, or if you gave them the option, they could type in that information depending on what you did in your settings section. Now, I have predetermined names and addresses in here, which were already uploaded and selected. You can see with the shipping address, I actually gave the option to type it in as well. So I can click add new, or your client can click add new, and they can fill out a new name and email, which will then filter through to commonsku. Now, with the shipping address, these were all predefined because we needed to apply the tax rate. So you can see on the right-hand side, your client can see the subtotal, shipping, and then obviously the tax. And remember that shipping is coming from the subtotal ranges that we set up in our settings, and the tax is coming from the shipping address. You can see if I flip the shipping address, the tax changes as well. Now, in every shop, your client can always leave a comment. So you can be like, this was super easy. And because we enabled credit card payment, your client can pay by credit card right here. Now, obviously, you need to be using Stripe or Card Connect on commonsku to be able to activate this credit card payment option. So your client clicks on the pay by credit card. It takes them to this screen. Now, this is Stripe's portal. Obviously, if you're using Card Connect, it would take you to the Card Connect portal. Your client keys in all of their information, and then they click pay. When your client clicks pay, it'll then take them to the checkout screen with whatever checkout message that you had written in, and it will then pass all this information back into commonsku as a brand new sales order. So what does that sales order look like inside of commonsku, or how can you see all the orders? If we jump back to our shop, on the left-hand side, there is a order section. So we've gone through settings, products, design. Let's talk a little bit about orders. Every order that's placed through a shop will land in here. So I can see all of these company orders coming through this shop. I can sort by status. I can sort by who they were assigned to. And you can see the order we just placed is at the very top. At this point, if I want to go and look at that order, I can actually just click on it and it will open up the sales order for me. Now with company shops, what happens is the sales order gets created for every new order placed on the shop. And in the overview, we document the actual order getting created. The checkout comment goes here. We send an invoice copy to the client that shows that it's paid, okay, because your client did pay this one by credit card. And we generate a sales order in the client approved state. with all the sizes, colors, everything filled out, already done for you. The other part, as I kind of alluded to, is that we also generate an invoice and we mark that invoice paid automatically if you have offered the credit card integration option and the client paid by credit card. Obviously, if they haven't paid by credit card, then we wouldn't create the invoice and mark it paid. It would just go in as a sales order. Now, if this was me and this was a real shop and I'm a distributor right now, the next step here would be obviously to export this invoice to whatever accounting software I'm using, reconcile the credit card payment with the invoice inside of my accounting system. And then the sales order itself, I would want to come here and unlock it, fill out shipping, and then generate and send out my POs. So you can see a really smooth process for your client, not only to place the order, but for all of your reps to come in and actually get this order fully completed involves minimal touch points. Filling out shipping, generating POs, and we're done. We just have to make sure the client gets it on time. So that's the company shop. Let's take a look at our next shop type. So the next shop type we're going to look at is actually going to be the pop-up shop. Now the pop-up shop is a shop that you would create for a single client, just like the company shop. However, with the pop-up shop, every order that's placed can be aggregate down into a single sales order in commonsku. Now, the use case for this is really if you have a client who maybe you create the shop for and they're going to send it out to all their employees. Their employees are all going to order one item, and you want, instead of having 1,000 t-shirts on 1,000 orders, you want 1,000 t-shirts on one order. Okay, that's a good use of the pop-up shop. Or another example is maybe you have a camp that they want to be able to send it out to all of their campers who are going to be joining them this summer, and they want to be able to send out all these different options. That's another good example of the pop-up shop where all those campers can place an order and then you can aggregate that down into a single sales order. So to create it is the same way that you create a company shop. You tap create shop and you fill out the shop name and select the client it's for. Now, if we go and look at this shop type that I've already built out, you can see here is the inside of a pop-up shop. Now, inside of the settings for a pop-up shop, you'll see it's pretty much the exact same, just some small changes from the company settings. On the pop-up shop, you have to predefine a billing contact and address and a shipping contact and address. Reason why is you're going to be aggregating orders down into a single sales order that could be from 1,000 different people. Well, you need to select the main addresses and the main contacts. The other thing is that you'll notice credit card payment is not available on this shop type. It's only available on the company shop type. From there, you'll also notice that we have some information here in the splash screen, so I'll be able to show you what that looks like in the client experience. And there's no shipping section here because odds are all this stuff is going to be shipping together to one location. The other main difference with setting up a pop-up shop is the checkout. Now, with the checkout, odds are, like I said, you're going to have a ton of people ordering from a single shop and aggregating it down. You're going to be then shipping all of these, let's say, 1,000 shirts to one location. And how's that location going to know who ordered what? Well, you can actually use checkout questions to determine that. So you can enter in your own custom checkout questions with answers that the end client has to fill out every time they check out. So in my example here, we're doing one for a camp where we've asked them what their cabin number is, and you can make the options either something that they have to select from a drop-down menu. So you can see that I've made options 1 through 5 available, or you can make it a text field. So who's your cabin leader? And they can type the name of the cabin leader in. You can have as many questions as you want, and I'll show where this filters through when you aggregate the orders down. And then just like with the company shop, you get a message at the very bottom for when that end user is actually going to check out. In terms of setting up products on a pop-up shop, it's the exact same as setting it up on a company shop. You add your items in, you add in the artwork, all of that fun stuff. There's just one minor difference that the pop-up shop has that none of the other shops have, which is there's a retail box for every item. Now, what this retail box is this is the price that the end client will be seeing when they check out. Now, I know you're wondering, well, what does Aaron actually mean by that? So in this example of a camp, if I've sent out a whole bunch of ideas on behalf of this camp, maybe I built the shop out, I showed the camp the pricing, and the camp's going to send it all out to every one of their campers. Those campers might order, a bunch of different items, and the camp itself wants to make a little bit of money on every order placed by each camper. So this retail price is what the end user is going to be seeing. This price is what you're going to be charging your client. So the camper is going to see $60, but the camp themselves, they're going to be paying $55.83, assuming that there's only one of this item ordered. Okay, and this is kind of the big difference with pop-up shops. You have one retail price for every item, and then you have a price for your client. So end user price is here, client price is here. Other than that, the setup is the exact same. When we get to the design is also the same. So you can see that I have this one set up in the featured theme. So no real differences here from the company shop in terms of how you're setting this piece up. So the last part is, what does the client experience actually look like? So you would email the shop out the same way that you would send out every other shop, okay, as a link. And what the client experience looks like is something like this. So when the end client, that camper, that employee, when they click into it, they see this. They see this nice little splash screen. Say, great. They click start shopping, and then they can go into the shop from here. So same kind of experience as what the company shop is offering. Now, if the end client goes in, let's say they choose this pouch that we were looking at earlier that had a retail of $60, you can see that the end client only sees the $60 price. At that point, they want to place an order. Again, minimums are still enforced by that first column. I think the minimum is only one. So we'll just select one here. The end client then checks out. They can fill out their name, their email address, and then they fill out the answers to the questions. So what's my cabin number? Who's my cabin leader? Let's go with Joe Kemple. And then I can leave a comment. At that point, the end client checks out, and that's going to create the order inside of commonsku. Now that the order's been placed, what does this look like inside of commonsku? So if we go back to that shop section, just like with all the other shop types, there's an order section, except for you can see the pop-up one is laid out a little bit different. There's a checkouts tab and then also an orders tab. So the checkouts tab shows you a list of every checkout that's been done or every order that's been done through the pop-up shop that has not been aggregated down into a sales order. So it's kind of like a waiting to aggregate kind of list. Now on here, I can click and check off one of these or select all of them. I can click view checkouts so I can see the answers to the questions and what they ordered, and I can see the retail here as well. I can export these checkouts into a CSV. I can add them to an existing order. So if I click add to order, it shows me an active aggregate order right now, so an active aggregate sales order to add into. And these orders will only show if they have not been moved to client approved yet. Once the aggregate order has been moved past client approved, you can no longer add in additional checkouts. And if you want to create a brand new project, if you want to create a new aggregate sales order, you can select whatever checkouts you want to add to that project or to that new sales order, and then click create project. You give the project a name, so May 29th orders, and we click create. Now what that's going to do is it's going to take all of the items on all those checkouts and then aggregate them down into a single sales order. It's going to apply the billing, shipping, addresses, and contacts that we predefined in our settings. And then down below, you can see I aggregate down 2 checkouts into the sales order, but there's only one product. So what it did is it recognized that the same product was on both orders and took the 2 amounts and put them into one single quantity for that item. So it does aggregate the items down to reflect total quantities. The other thing that you're going to notice on a sales order that is done through a pop-up shop is that there's an additional checkouts tab here where you can see all the checkouts that were added and the value. You can select them here to then view them, again, to view those answers to those questions, or export out a CSV. Now, ultimately, what should be happening here is that once you've aggregate everything down into a sales order, you can send this out to the client for approval. So in this case, the camp. When I go to email this out to the camp, what we do is we automatically attach in a CSV file of all of the checkouts. And the reason why we do that is because then the camp gets a list of who ordered what and how much each one of those individuals then owe the camp. So you're really just collecting money from the camp or your client, and then it's up to really that client to collect from the end user, the camper or the employee. And they can do that using that checkout CSV that we automatically attach in. I think that this is a really, really cool concept, and I think that our development team did a great job of making this seem really simple for a pretty complex idea. So let's move on and take a look at the very last shop available, the marketing shop. The marketing shop is a shop that you can create for multiple clients, whether it's 2 or 2,000. And this is kind of how it differs from the pop up shop and the company shop. You can have as many clients order from the marketing shop as you would like. Now, we see some really cool use cases potentially used with this shop type. If you do any sort of monthly mailers, newsletters, then you could create a marketing shop and put that into every mailer that you send out. If you get an order out of it, that's great. Very minimal work that you have to do. Or maybe you're doing some target marketing. You have a bunch of clients who order for golf tournaments every year. You could create an awesome marketing golf shop, send it out to just those clients, and then they can place the order. So you could be proactive rather than reactive. I think Mark brings up a really good point inside of the SKUcast about shops, where if you go to Expo every year and you see all these amazing products, you could create a marketing shop with all of your favorite items that you saw at the last trade show and then send that out to all your clients so they're getting the first kind of crack at those products. So let's talk a little bit about how it's built. To create the marketing shop, you click Create Shop, and then you just have to give it a shop name. There's obviously no reason to select a client because this could be for as many clients as you would like. When you click Create, that'll take you to the settings. Now we'll look at a shop that I've already set up. Inside of the settings for the marketing shop, it's actually the most simple settings out of all the shop types. You can see it's very similar to the other types up top. Password protect, expiries, tags. There's no credit card payment available for marketing shops, just like pop-ups. Again, that's only available on company shops. We have a splash screen with some text in here. There's no checkout questions or shipping ranges to add in shipping charges because your client's not paying. So setting this up just involves the general settings and then adding in a checkout message. To add products and edit products to a marketing shop works the same way as the other shop types. You add them in. The only difference here is that when you edit a product on a marketing shop, since the shop could be for multiple clients, you can't predefine an art file. What happens is when you add in artwork to a specific item, you can still fill out all of the details. However, we will make your client actually upload the artwork when they go and select this item to order. Now, once you've gone in, you've added in your products, you would head down to Design. When you go to Design, the design options are the same as the other shop types. And then let's take a little bit of a look at how this client experience would work. In terms of getting this shop type out to your client, it works the same as the other shops. You would click Actions, you would click Email Shop, and then you would send it out as a link or embed that link as an iframe in your website or include it in your mailer. So let's look at what the client would actually see when they click into it. This shop type, we set it up with a splash page. So we have the splash page up here with some instructions on how to order. The client would click Start Shopping. Now it's in the split view right now. So your client would go in, they would click Browse All, and then they would go ahead and select an item. Now, if they want to select multiple items, they can do that obviously, or they can flip through your categories just like the other shop types. Now, if we go in and order an apparel piece, I don't think we've done one of those yet. So if we go in and we want to order some apparel, we click Add. Your client selects whatever color they'd like, and when they select a color for apparel, they then just fill out the quantity of each item that or each size that they would like. So maybe 10 extra small, 15 small, 20 medium, 22 large, and 17 extra large. At that point, you can see that your client can't actually check out. And the reason why is that there's no artwork yet. So you would have to, or your client would have to click here to upload their logo. They would go ahead and select the logo that they want to add in and open that up. That will then attach the artwork into this order, and your client would click Checkout. Now on Checkout, we did this in a kind of clever way. What happens is your client actually needs to fill in their company name and then fill out their name and email address along with their actual address. Once they fill that out, let's say that's same as billing, just like with the other shop types, your client can leave a comment and then they can place the order. When they place the order, they get the checkout message that you define in your settings. And now that order's been placed and it creates a unique sales order inside of commonsku. So let's take a look and see what that order looks like once it reaches the commonsku system. Just like the other shop types, whenever an order is placed, the order rep will get notified and that will then create the sales order inside of commonsku. So the question is, how does commonsku know which client this order is for? Well, if we go back into the shop section and we click into orders, you'll see that there's two different subtabs here. There's a checkouts tab and an orders tab. The checkouts tab shows you kind of the information that was filled out by the client at checkout. What happens from here is you would be able to click on that line of the order, and what commonsku will try and do is match that up using email or the client name entered to an existing client inside of your commonsku system. If it doesn't match up directly, you can go ahead and assign it to one of the clients that exist, and once you find the right client, you can go ahead and click assign. When I click assign, what's going to happen is my page is going to refresh, and then now that checkout has moved into the order section. So you can see now my order is here because it's been assigned to a client. I can sort by status or who's in charge of this order. And then if we click into it, you'll see that has created the sales order with the item that we ordered, the checkout comment in the overview, and everything is ready to go. Sizes, colors, everything. So that concludes kind of all the different shop types. Hopefully, there's one in there that's going to work for you. If you have any questions about any of the shops, you're not sure about a scenario, or if you just want some advice on which shop type to use, you can always email us at support@commonsku.com. So get out there and start building your shops.